Beneath the peaceful waters of Pearl Harbor, the wreck of the USS Arizona still bleeds thick black oil, each droplet a haunting reminder of the 1,177 souls entombed within her steel grave. Launched in 1915 as a symbol of American naval pride, Arizona was once the mightiest battleship of her generation. Yet in just 9 minutes, a single bomb turned her into a burning tomb, and the evidence of that day refuses to fade, still staining the waves with what survivors call the tears of the fallen. How did this engineering marvel become a living memorial, a battleship that still burns beneath the waves? The answer begins with the ship's origins and the dreams she once carried. Arizona's keel was laid down on March 16, 1914, at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, a span of steel and ambition stretching 608 feet from bow to stern. When she slid into the East River on June 19, 1915, her hull carried the weight of a nation's hopes for security and strength. She was commissioned into the United States Navy on October 17, 1916, joining the fleet as one of the largest and most formidable warships afloat. Her main battery, 12 14-inch 45 caliber guns mounted in 4 triple turrets, could hurl a 1,400-pound shell over 23,000 yards, a display of firepower that set her apart from earlier battleships. 22 single-mounted 5-inch guns lined her sides for secondary defense, and her anti-aircraft armament would grow as new threats emerged. Arizona embodied the all-or-nothing armor philosophy. A main belt 13.5 inches thick shielded her vital spaces, while her deck armor ranged from 3 to 4 inches. Her turrets boasted faces up to 18 inches thick, and the conning tower was protected by 16 inches of steel. She displaced over 31,000 tons at standard load, and, fully loaded, weighed in at more than 32,600 tons. An engineering marvel of her era. Powered by 4 Parsons turbines and 12 boilers, she could make 21 knots, her 4 propellers churning the Pacific and Atlantic alike. Between 1929 and 1931, Arizona underwent a sweeping modernization. New tripod masts replaced her original cages, anti-torpedo blisters widened her beam, deck armor was thickened, and her anti-aircraft batteries were updated to meet the new age of aerial warfare. These changes increased her displacement and crew complement, but left her silhouette unmistakable, a fortress of steel, poised for whatever storms the century would bring. Aboard Arizona, daily life was a pattern of drills, duty, and the small rituals that bind a floating city together. Nearly 1,500 sailors called her home in 1941, each man with his own role, yet all woven into the same routine. Mornings began with reveille echoing through steel passageways, followed by cleaning stations, gunnery practice, and the steady hum of maintenance crews at work. Evenings softened as the sun dipped behind the mountains, and off-duty hours brought laughter, letters from home, and the sound of music drifting across the decks. The ship's heartbeat was its camaraderie. Friendships were forged in the mess, on watch, and during the endless hours of training at sea. But perhaps nothing captured Arizona's spirit more than her band. Navy Band number 2221 strong had joined the ship together in June 1941 after graduating from the Navy School of Music. They rehearsed tirelessly, their music brightening ceremonies and lifting morale during long deployments. Just days before the attack, the Arizona Band won the Fleet Battle of Music competition, a source of pride celebrated in every corner of the ship. Their victory was more than a trophy. It was proof of the crew's unity, talent, and youthful hope, echoing through the steel hull as a promise of better days ahead. At 7:55 on December 7, 1941, the first Japanese aircraft swept low over Pearl Harbor, engines roaring in the morning stillness. Arizona's crew raced for their battle stations as alarms blared, but the attack struck with a speed and force that shattered routine. Bombers and torpedo planes, 183 in the first wave, targeted Battleship Row, each carrying ordnance designed to punch through steel decks and ignite chaos below. Within minutes, anti-aircraft guns spat tracers skyward, but the ship's defenses had little time to organize. Armor-piercing bombs, once naval shells, had been converted for aerial use and now rained down from nearly 10,000 feet. Their delayed fuses were calibrated to penetrate armor before detonating deep inside. Arizona's gunners fired back, but the incoming formation pressed its attack relentlessly. At approximately 8:06, a 1,760-pound armor-piercing bomb struck near Turret 2, punching through the deck and vanishing into the heart of the ship. For a heartbeat, nothing. Then a blinding flash erupted from within. The forward magazines, packed with powder for the main battery, ignited in a single, catastrophic blast. The force lifted the ship from the water and sent a fireball hundreds of feet into the air. Steel, flame, and debris tore through the forward third of the vessel, as the Arizona's fate was sealed in an instant. The blast shattered Arizona's spine, ripping open her forward hull and sending a shockwave through every deck. Turrets 1 and 2, once anchored by thousands of tons of steel, dropped more than 20 feet as their supports gave way. The conning tower and superstructure collapsed into the inferno below, while the foremast canted forward at a broken angle, a silhouette instantly seared into memory. Flames erupted from ruptured decks, feeding on oil and powder, rising high above the harbor. Within 9 minutes, the forward third of the ship was gone, submerged beneath churning water and burning debris. The repair ship Vestal, tethered alongside, was battered by the explosion and swept by fire. Her captain ordered the lines cut, and Vestal drifted clear, her own decks ablaze but afloat. Arizona's fires raged unchecked, fed by oil tanks ruptured deep within the hull. For 2 days, the ship smoldered, sending columns of black smoke into the sky. Steel glowed red and then white, and the heat warped bulkheads beyond recognition. In the sudden silence after the explosion, only the crackle of flames and the slow settling of wreckage remained. A battleship undone in moments, her forward compartments sealed forever by fire and water. Below the still waters of Pearl Harbor, the Arizona rests as a tomb for 1,177 men, her crew sealed within twisted steel and silt. Navy divers who braved the wreck in the months after the attack described a world of darkness and silence, where beams of light caught fragments of uniforms and shattered personal effects. They called it a grave, not a ship. The loss was not just a number. It was a tapestry of lives, brothers, fathers, friends, each with a story cut short. Seaman First Class Donald Stratton, burned and trapped on the foremast, remembered the agony and the desperate climb to survival. A rope thrown from the Vestal became his lifeline. "We were burning alive. Only instinct and our training brought us across that line," he recalled years later. For most, there was no escape. The Arizona became their final home, a silent witness to sacrifice. A faint, iridescent sheen drifts across the surface of Pearl Harbor, tracing the outline of a battleship lost to time. Each day, the Arizona releases a slow, steady trickle of oil, about a quart, rising from tanks that once held nearly 500,000 gallons of fuel. Scientists call it a living leak. NOAA and National Park Service teams use sonar and remote sensors to track the seepage, mapping the flow and calculating the risk. The oil, trapped deep within the rusting hull, seeps from ruptured bunkers and fractured seams, forming black ribbons that swirl with the tide. These black tears are more than a chemical trace. They are a silent testament, a signal to every visitor that the ship endures beneath the waves, still bound to the men who never left her decks. Public resolve gathered around the Arizona's resting place as families, veterans, and citizens called for a permanent tribute. In 1961, a national fundraising drive drew support from every corner of the country. Schoolchildren sent coins, and entertainers like Elvis Presley held benefit concerts to help realize the vision. The USS Arizona Memorial, a gleaming white structure spanning the sunken hull without touching it, was dedicated on May 30, 1962. Each year, survivors return to Pearl Harbor, some choosing to have their ashes interred within the ship's remains so they might rejoin their shipmates. Visitors stand in silence above the wreck, reading the names carved in marble, leaving flowers, and reflecting on the sacrifice below. The Arizona has become a shrine, a place where memory and honor endure. Every day, about a quart of oil still rises from the wreck of the USS Arizona, a visible trace of the battleship that was lost in just 9 minutes on December 7, 1941. This documentary has shown how the Arizona's construction, modernization, and vibrant crew life made her a symbol of American strength, until a single 1,760-pound bomb changed history. The ship's forward magazine exploded, entombing 1,177 sailors and leaving nearly 500,000 gallons of fuel sealed below the harbor. Today, divers and scientists monitor the site, but the exact condition of the interior remains uncertain due to preservation protocols and limited access. Since the memorial's dedication on May 30, 1962, families and visitors have honored the crew, and some survivors have chosen to rest with their ship. The Arizona endures as a national memorial, not just a sunken battleship, but a permanent reminder of sacrifice and the enduring cost of war.